All right, fight fans, today we're going deep into the mind of UFC lightweight champion Islam Makhachev.
Yeah, definitely not your typical Wikipedia rundown.
No, not at all.
You've brought in this interview Islam did with Demetrius Johnson
That's right.
on his podcast, Mighty.
Yeah, it's like eavesdropping on two champs, just
Yeah.
chatting, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
You get these little insights into his personality, his approach to fighting that you just don't get from the usual pre-fight stuff.
You really get a feel for the person behind the fighter.
Exactly. So, are you ready to unpack some champion-level wisdom?
Absolutely.
Okay. So let's start with his journey to becoming a champion.
Yeah. You know, what struck me right away was how different it was compared to the path for fighters here in the U.S.
Absolutely. So we got to rewind back to Dagestan where Islam grew up.
Yeah, like way back.
He starts training Taekwondo at 8 years old.
Wow.
But that's just the beginning.
Really?
He goes on to try wrestling, soccer, even Ushua.
Ushua.
Yeah, it's a traditional Dagestani martial art, combines striking and grappling. It's almost like they encourage young athletes there to explore different disciplines before specializing.
That makes a lot of sense, you know, building that strong foundation.
Yeah.
Exposing yourself to different movement patterns, strategies, ways of thinking.
Totally different from what you see in the U.S. where there's this pressure to pick a sport early and stick with it.
Yeah, like specialized early on.
And all those experiences, they led Islam to Sambo.
Sambo.
It's kind of like the precursor to MMA mix of striking and grappling.
Okay.
And get this, he competed in the Russian Sambo Championships 10 times.
10 times.
Before even transitioning to MMA.
That's wild, a decade competing at that level. Talk about a foundation.
It really shows the dedication and commitment ingrained in that Dagestani fighting culture.
For sure. And you can see how all those different disciplines he trained in kind of converged into his fighting style.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so fast forward a bit. We get to Islam training with Khabib Nurmagomedov and his father.
The legendary Eagles camp.
This is where champions are forged.
We've all heard about the intensity of those training sessions.
Right, and Islam doesn't hold back in describing how demanding Khabib's father is as a coach.
He pushes everyone to their limits.
Absolutely, and with 60 to 70 professional fighters all training together.
Wow.
That intensity gets multiplied.
Yeah, you've got this constant internal competition, everyone pushing each other to improve.
It's like an incubator for greatness.
You can't help but wonder if that kind of environment fosters a different level of mental toughness, too.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of evolving, Islam shared this anecdote about one of his main sparring partners, a guy named Shahib.
Okay.
Now, Shahib was known as the hardest worker in the gym.
Which in that camp is really saying something.
Seriously.
Yeah.
But as Shahib got older, he realized he couldn't just rely on brute force anymore.
Makes sense.
He had to be smarter with his training, focusing on quality over quantity.
Yeah,
There's a valuable lesson there for anyone, not just fighters,
absolutely.
about how you need to adapt your approach as you gain experience.
It's classic working hard versus working smart. As you mature, you understand it's not just about the effort you put in, but how you direct that effort.
Exactly.
It's maximizing efficiency, effectiveness, and that shift in thinking actually ties directly into Islam's philosophy of fighting.
Okay.
This idea of being well-rounded.
Right.
Mastering all aspects of the game, striking, wrestling, grappling, jiu-jitsu.
He's not a one-trick pony,
Nope.
like some fighters who rely solely on knockout power or their ground game.
Right.
He used Michael Chandler's fight against Dan Hooker as an example.
Oh, yeah.
Chandler, known for his explosive striking, chose to stand and trade with Hooker,
Interesting.
even though Hooker's weakness was on the ground.
Yeah, he played right into Hooker's strength instead of exploiting his weakness.
Exactly.
You know, sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the moment, go for the flashy knockout.
Sure.
But Islam's point is a truly elite fighter needs to assess the situation and adapt their strategy accordingly.
Couldn't agree more. You got to be constantly analyzing your opponent, looking for openings, capitalizing on their weaknesses.
Yeah, and what's really cool is that Demetrius Johnson, who's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, confirmed that Islam's black belt is legit.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are questions about the legitimacy of belts, especially in MMA.
Especially with someone as humble as Islam.
Right. He doesn't brag about his accomplishments.
He lets his skills speak for themselves.
Exactly. But having someone like Demetrius vouch for him really says something.
It does.
Okay, so we've talked about his physical skills, his well-roundedness, but what about the mental side of fighting?
The mental game is often what separates the good from the great.
And Islam believes that the hardest part isn't even the fight itself,
Oh, really?
but the grueling training camp leading up to it.
Which, considering the intensity we just talked about, is saying something.
Yeah, but what's fascinating is that he sees that mental grind as a necessary crucible.
Okay.
He believes that intense training, constantly pushing limits, is what forges the mental toughness needed to handle the pressure of a championship fight.
It's like he's saying you have to condition your mind just as much as your body.
Absolutely, because when you're in the octagon facing an opponent who's also at the peak of their physical abilities,
Yeah.
it's the mental strength that can give you the edge.
It makes sense when you consider the path Islam had to the title. He was on a 10-fight win streak before finally getting his shot.
That's almost unheard of in the modern UFC.
I mean, you had Michael Chandler getting a title shot after just one win in the organization.
Yeah, and Islam even talked about the frustration he felt during that time, like he wasn't getting the opportunities he deserved.
We should dig into that a bit more in the next part of our deep dive.
Yeah, I think we need to, because there's a bigger conversation to be had about how fighters are ranked, promoted, and ultimately given title shots.
Absolutely. There are a lot of factors at play beyond just wins and losses.
It's a reminder that there's a lot more to becoming a champion than just being a great fighter.
Yeah.
You have to navigate the politics of the sport, build a fan base, and sometimes just be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, sometimes it's just luck.
So when we come back, we'll delve deeper into Islam's long road to the title, the challenges he faced, and the lessons we can learn from his journey.
And maybe we'll uncover some insights into the inner workings of the UFC along the way.
That sounds good to me. Don't go anywhere, fight fans. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the mind of Islam Makhachev.
We left off talking about Islam's 10-fight win streak and the frustrations he felt with the UFC's matchmaking.
It's crazy to think that a fighter can be that dominant and still struggle to get a title shot.
It really makes you question how they decide who gets pushed, and why some fighters seem to get fast-tracked while others have to grind their way to the top.
I mean, you see it all the time.
Islam even mentioned that initially he wasn't as fluent in English.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he thinks that might have played a role in how he was marketed and promoted early on in his UFC career.
It's interesting how much language barriers can impact a fighter's trajectory.
Especially in a sport where so much of it is about personality and trash talk.
Yeah, you got to be able to sell the fight.
And you also have to consider that Islam was fighting a lot of his early UFC fights in Russia,
Right.
which might have made it harder to find opponents.
Not everyone's eager to travel to enemy territory and face a rising star like Islam.
It's like he had to overcome more than just the guys in the octagon.
Yeah, he had to overcome these systemic obstacles too.
Totally. And even when he finally got a shot at the title, there were still challenges.
Oh, yeah.
He talked about the importance of acclimating to different time zones and environments when you're traveling for fights.
That makes sense.
He prefers to arrive in the U.S. 40 to 45 days before a fight,
Wow, that's a long time.
just to give himself time to adjust.
I can see why. I mean, I get thrown off my game when I travel across even a couple of time zones.
Right.
I can't imagine trying to perform at that level with your body clock all messed up.
And he actually learned this the hard way when he fought in Australia.
What happened?
The fight was scheduled for early morning U.S. time, which meant he basically had no recovery time after the weigh-in.
Oh, man, that's brutal.
Talk about a recipe for disaster, and then you add in the weight cut itself, which is already one of the most grueling aspects of the sport.
Speaking of weight cuts, did you catch that part where Islam revealed he walks around at 180 pounds just weeks before a fight?
Yeah, I was blown away by that.
The guy is tall and lean, but still...
It's a significant amount of weight to cut.
He mentioned he avoids sugar and soda.
Yeah, but he doesn't follow a strict diet outside of training camp.
It's interesting how different weight cutting can be for different fighters.
Right. They were even joking about how Demetrius Johnson, who fought at 125 pounds, had a completely different experience.
That's a whole different ballgame down there.
It's a reminder that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to weight cutting, and it's a dangerous part of the sport.
No doubt.
And speaking of things that can get heated, we can't ignore the recent incident with Nate Diaz at a weigh-in.
Yeah, that was pretty intense.
But Islam kind of downplayed it,
Really?
He said it was more of a misunderstanding blown out of proportion by the cameras.
I guess those things can happen.
He even mentioned that he'd had a perfectly respectful encounter with Diaz in an elevator a few months prior.
Huh. So it seems like the weigh-in altercation was more about the heated atmosphere and the media hype than any personal animosity.
It's a good reminder that things aren't always as they appear, especially in a sport like MMA.
Where emotions run high.
Yeah, and trash talk is part of the game.
And it's also worth noting that Islam handled the situation with composure.
He didn't escalate things.
He stood his ground without letting it rattle him.
It speaks to his mental toughness and his ability to stay focused.
Okay, so we've talked about the challenges Islam faced on his road to the title, but What about his future? What are his goals beyond just holding the lightweight belt?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. He's already talking about wanting to become a double champion, potentially challenging his friend and teammate Alexander Volkanovski for the featherweight title.
That would be a massive fight.
Volkanovski is a beast.
He's one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the world.
It would be a legacy-defining fight for both guys.
And it's interesting that Islam is already thinking about moving up in weight class.
He even mentioned feeling like he needs to prove himself against bigger opponents to solidify his legacy.
I can understand that, some people have questioned whether his success is due in part to fighting mostly smaller opponents.
So he's looking for those challenges, those opportunities to really test himself.
Against the best of the best.
That's what separates the great fighters from the good ones. That constant desire to push their limits.
To achieve something truly extraordinary.
It's like they're not content with just being at the top of the mountain. They want to climb a higher mountain.
And speaking of mountains, we've talked a lot about the intense training regimen of the Eagles camp, but what does Islam do outside of fighting?
Does he ever take a break?
Right.
He did mention a few hobbies. Apparently he's into motorcycles, horses, and paddle tennis.
Paddle tennis.
Yeah, I know, right?
I didn't even know he played.
And get this, he said a game of paddle tennis can burn like 2,000 calories.
Wow, so even in his downtime, he's still finding ways to stay active.
It's like that competitive fire never really goes out.
Makes sense.
But he's also realistic about the future. He knows that age will eventually catch up to him, and he's talked about retiring when he can no longer compete at the highest level.
That's refreshing to hear so many athletes struggle with the idea of retirement.
He even mentioned wanting to return to Sambo competition after he retires from MMA.
Really?
Though he acknowledged that it would be tough, being a high-profile target for younger athletes.
I can imagine.
But it makes sense that he'd want to go back to his roots.
Yeah.
Sambo's where he honed his skills, where he developed that fighting spirit.
It's part of his DNA.
Okay, well, before we start getting nostalgic about Islam's Sambo days, we should probably get back to his MMA career.
Yeah.
Specifically, his upcoming rematch against Arman Tsarukyan.
Ah, yes. The rematch of their first fight was an absolute war.
Both fighters showcasing incredible skill and determination.
It went the distance, and Islam won by decision, but it was a close fight.
And a lot of people are wondering if Tsarukyan can pull off the upset this time.
He's a very well-rounded fighter with good wrestling and striking, and he's clearly hungry to avenge that loss.
And Islam hasn't faced him since that first fight, so it'll be interesting to see how they've both evolved.
For sure.
Islam actually admitted that he might have underestimated Tsarukyan going into that first fight.
Really?
He hadn't seen much of his footage, and nobody really wanted to travel to Russia to fight him back then.
So it was a bit of a trial by fire.
And Tsarukyan really pushed him to his limits.
But this time around, Islam is fully prepared. He's studied Tsarukyan's style. He knows what to expect.
And he's confident in his ability to come out on top.
He even said that he doesn't see anything in Tsarukyan's game that will surprise him this time.
Which, coming from Islam, is a pretty bold statement.
It speaks to his confidence and his belief in his own abilities, but he also acknowledged that it won't be an easy fight.
No, it's going to be a clash of styles, a test of wills between two elite fighters who are both striving for greatness. And I think for Islam, it's also a chance to showcase his growth as a fighter.
Yeah, to show the world how he's evolved since their first encounter.
I think what makes this rematch so compelling is that there's a real sense of mutual respect between these two fighters.
They both know what the other is capable of.
They're both coming into this fight with a point to prove.
It's going to be an epic battle. I can't wait to see how it unfolds.
But before we get too caught up in the excitement of the rematch, I think it's time to take a step back and really appreciate the journey that Islam has been on.
From his early days training in Dagestan to his current reign as UFC lightweight champion, he's overcome so much and achieved an incredible level of success.
And I think there are a lot of lessons we can all learn from his story.
Regardless of whether we're into fighting or not.
Absolutely. His dedication, his discipline, his mental toughness, his willingness to constantly learn and evolve. These are all qualities that can be applied to any area of life.
And I think that's what makes him such an inspiring figure. He's not just a great fighter. He's a role model for anyone who wants to achieve their full potential.
Well said. But before we get too philosophical, I think it's time for a break. We'll be back in a few minutes to wrap up our deep dive into the mind of Islam Makhachev. All right, fight fans, we're back for the final round of our deep dive into the mind of Islam Makhachev.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From his training, his mental game, his strategy.
And there's one thing about Islam's approach to fighting that I think deserves a closer look.
Okay, what's that?
His emphasis on analyzing his opponents, and exploiting their weaknesses.
It's like he's playing chess.
Exactly. Figuring out their moves and counter moves before they even step into the octagon.
Right.
Remember when he was talking about Michael Chandler's fight against Dan Hooker?
Yeah.
He was critical of Chandler for choosing to stand and trade with Hooker, when Hooker's weakness was clearly on the ground.
Yeah, he basically played right into Hooker's strength.
Exactly. And it wasn't just a casual observation either.
Right.
It showed a deeper understanding of fight strategy. This willingness to dissect his opponent's styles, identify their vulnerabilities.
He's not just relying on raw talent or brute force.
No, he's thinking several steps ahead, formulating a game plan based on his opponent's strengths and weaknesses.
And it's not just about identifying those weaknesses, it's about exploiting them ruthlessly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He even talked about how he brings in specific training partners to help him prepare for different fighting styles.
Like what?
If he's facing a striker, he'll spar with elite boxers.
Okay.
If it's a wrestler, he'll work with top-level Sambo guys.
Wow.
He's constantly adapting his training to mirror the challenges he expects to face in the fight.
It's like he's building a custom toolkit for each opponent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Equipping himself with the precise skills and strategies needed to dismantle their game.
That's what makes him so dangerous.
He's not just reacting to what his opponent throws at him.
No.
He's dictating the pace, forcing them to fight on his terms.
And that brings us back to his upcoming rematch with Arman Tsarukyan.
Right. We know that Arman's a tough competitor with good wrestling and striking.
But Islam believes that his own grappling is superior and that he can control the fight wherever it goes.
And this time around, he has the benefit of experience.
Yeah.
He's already fought Tsarukyan, so he knows what to expect.
Yeah.
He studied the tape, identified potential weaknesses, and formulated a game plan.
He's not leaving anything to chance.
But it's not just about winning for Islam. He wants to make a statement.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to silence any remaining doubters and prove that he's on a different level.
It's about legacy.
Absolutely. He even mentioned wanting to win in a way that leaves no doubt a decisive victory, that shows the world he's the undisputed champion.
That drive to dominate, to constantly push himself to be better.
That's what sets him apart. That's what makes him a champion.
It's a mindset that transcends fighting.
Yeah.
It's about setting ambitious goals, working relentlessly to achieve them, and never settling for mediocrity.
And Islam's journey is a powerful example of what's possible when you combine talent, hard work, and an unwavering commitment to excellence.
He's a product of a system that values discipline, resilience, continuous improvement.
And that system has produced some of the most dominant fighters in the world.
No doubt.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the mind of Islam Makhachev, what are the key takeaways? What can we learn from his story?
Well, first and foremost, I think it highlights the importance of well-roundedness.
Right.
Don't just focus on your strengths, identify your weaknesses, and work tirelessly to improve them.
Become a complete fighter, a complete person.
And secondly, Islam's journey underscores the power of mental toughness.
Yeah.
It's not just about physical ability, it's about having the mental fortitude to face adversity, overcome challenges, stay focused on your goals.
You have to be willing to embrace the grind, to push yourself beyond your comfort zone, both physically and mentally.
And finally, I think Islam's approach to fighting emphasizes the value of strategic thinking.
Right.
Analyze your opponents, identify their weaknesses, develop a game plan to exploit them.
It's about being adaptable, resourceful, and always thinking one step ahead.
And these lessons can be applied to any pursuit in life, whether you're an athlete, an entrepreneur, or just someone striving to be better.
So to all our listeners out there, remember what we've learned from Islam. Be well-rounded, develop your mental toughness, think strategically, and never stop striving for excellence.
And keep an eye on Islam's journey. He's just getting started.
Yeah, he's got a lot more greatness in store for us.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into the mind of Islam Makhachev.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more fascinating deep dives into the world of knowledge and expertise.
Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next episode. And if you're feeling extra generous, consider supporting us on Patreon.
Your contributions help us keep the lights on and continue producing high-quality content like this.
And as always, we love hearing from you, so leave a comment below and let us know what you thought of this episode, what stood out to you, what resonated with you. We're always looking to improve and make these deep dives even more insightful and engaging.
Until next time, stay curious, my friends.